Hi, I'm Dr. Vijay Kumar, Assistant Professor in the Department of English at the Crescent Institute of Science and Technology. I'm really excited to lead you in this module on written communication. I hope you find the modules pretty useful. In today's module, we are going to discuss the second part of argumentative writing. A quick recap of Module 1 on argumentative writing. We already discussed the need for argumentative writing and the nitty-gritties of argumentative writing. We discussed the framework earlier, such as the claim, the reasons, the counterclaim, and the rebuttal. We also discussed about the strategies, such as the cause and effect, the problem solution strategy, the illustrative strategy, the pros and the cons strategy, and the multidimensional approach. We also discussed about the ways of writing an introduction and a good conclusion. In other words, we discussed on how to start with a good hook and end with a right punch. In this module, we shall move to the nitty-gritties of writing. Before we discuss that, we need to know what evaluators keep in mind when they assess your writing skills in general. Usually when it comes to argumentative writing, they look for your claim, they see whether your writing is evidence-based, whether there is enough data in it, is it excellent, good or average, or does it meet these expectations? Most importantly, does it have a suitable beginning at development and organization? Does it have good transitional words? Are you using the right style and the mechanics of writing? The conventions of usage, such as the formal and objective tone and the grammar. This is the larger picture. But to specify, I'd just like to tell you 3 or 4 aspects that can dramatically improve the way you write, academic writing or argumentative writing in specific. Let me explain each one in detail. Now, the first aspect that we can take for today's discussion is how to bring a proper grammatical range in our writing. So the important parameter that evaluators look for your writing piece is whether it has good grammatical range and whether there is grammatical accuracy. Even all international exams evaluate a candidate based on these 2 parameters. One is when it comes to grammar, it is grammatical range and grammatical accuracy. There is a subtle difference between both. Grammatical range refers to the variety of your sentence structures, and accuracy refers to your correctness, your precise usage, in other words. Now, grammatical range and accuracy is not a skill that can be developed overnight. I know it's something that you just got to work on it day in and day out. However, to improve your range, you need to use a wide variety of sentence structures. Now, in this module, I am going to describe 6 sentence types. And if I apply these sentence types in any of your academic writing, your writing will look a lot better. So let us discuss on those 6 areas where you need to work on to bring this grammatical range in your writing. Usually, there are 6 kinds of sentences. The first kind of sentence that we use in writing is a simple sentence. These kind of sentences usually have only one idea. One idea is expressed at a time. Now, for instance, when I say that when I'm asked to write an essay on are virtual classrooms better than online classrooms, if I use a sentence, virtual classrooms are better than face-to-face classrooms, I am expressing only one idea here, and this is called a simple sentence. In a simple sentence, we usually express our ideas at one shot as one single sentence. So that is called a simple sentence. Now, the next category is called as the compound sentence, where you use 2 ideas, and we usually use conjunctions to connect 2 ideas. Conjunctions like and, but, it, for, so, and so on. So, but in terms of compound sentences, you use 2 ideas to connect. For example, face-to-face classrooms may provide individual attention, but they are not appealing to the current learners. So if I say this kind of sentence, I am using a connector to connect this sentence but. So compound sentence usually has two ideas connected by conjunctions. So your essay should be a blend of both simple and compound sentences. But that is not enough to bring range in your writing. You need to use complex sentences as well. So the third category of sentence we are going to discuss is called as the complex sentence. So what is a complex sentence? Using two or more ideas, using linkers to join the sentences is what is called as complex sentence. Now let us apply this complex sentence. For instance, if you use words like although, so that, because, when you use these kind of transitional words, the sentence becomes complex. For example, listen to this sentence. Although F2F instruction is in vogue, it will soon be obsolete because of the spread of online education. Listen carefully to the sentence again. Although F2F instruction is in practice, it will soon be obsolete because of the spread of online education. See, here I have used words like although and because of to connect my ideas. So if I use linkers, one or more linkers to connect my ideas, this is what I call as the complex sentence. So we have discussed about what a simple sentence is, what a compound sentence is, and what a complex sentence is. The next kind of sentence is called as passive constructions. For instance, in active construction we say that the UGC has recommended online classes. But when it comes to passive construction, we say that online classes has been recommended by the UGC. Usually in your academic writing, it's always advisable to use passive constructions. And the next strategy, the fifth strategy, is what you call as using questions in your writing. For example, will F2F classrooms really work in the future? You can use WH questions like what, when, where, why, and how. You can also use rhetorical questions in your writing. For instance, you could say, how many students would enjoy being bombarded by lectures day in and day out inside the four walls of a classroom? And then moving on, the last way to improve your grammatical range is to use conditionals. Using if. For example, listen to this sentence. If there is more visual appeal, F2F classrooms will be equally interesting. Now, using if clauses is what is called as conditionals. So to really enhance the way you write, you need to use the 6 categories of sentence. Remember, you need to use simple sentence where you express one short idea at a time. You need to use compound sentences where you use conjunctions and express 2 ideas at a time. At times you use complex sentence where you use linkers and connect 2 or 3 sentences. You use passive constructions rather than active constructions. You use questions, question words and rhetorical questions in your writing, and you should also use conditionals. And if you remember these 6 strategies, definitely your writing will have a wide variety. It will have more fluidity and it will have more range. And this is how you can dramatically improve the range of your grammar, or you can call it as grammatical range and accuracy. Now the next important parameter in your writing is vocabulary. Now even all exams like this IELTS and TOEFL evaluate a candidate based on his lexical resource. There are 2 aspects of vocabulary. Again, they are range and accuracy. Now I will articulate a passage to you and tell me what is wrong with the passage. See, traditional teaching is boring. Traditional teaching does not fulfill learning goals. The present generation dislike traditional teaching. What is wrong with this passage? You find this passage is almost repetitive. The sentences I use the same kind of words like traditional. For teaching, I use teaching 3 times in a sentence. So these words, when same words are used again and again in your writing, they become so stale and monotonous. There is no variety and richness in your writing. So instead, now look at these expressions. So instead of the word traditional, you can use existing approaches, conventional approaches, outdated approaches, obsolete approaches, and so on. Now instead of teaching, you could use terms like methods, instruction, approach, and things like that. So one important thing that you need to keep in mind when you try to bring lexical variety consciously in your writing is you got to use alternative words. You have to use many synonyms. And again, vocabulary is something that can't be really taught. It has to be only caught, and you have to develop it over a period of time. So, but the simple strategy is to remember to use a lot of synonyms and not to use the same kind of words again and again if you would like to bring lexical variety or vocabulary richness in your writing. So let us move on to accuracy now. In vocabulary, most of the time we don't use accurate words. For example, if I say the sentence, the children at the college need special education, the sentence may be grammatically correct, but in terms of word usage, they are very imprecise. Because we usually don't use children to refer to college level, do we? Now, instead of children, you could use the word student. So, however, there are certain words that do not have synonyms. In that case, it is okay. Now, you should remember to use the right connotation. For example, the words childish, childlike, and youthful have the same denotative, but they have different connotative meanings. For example, childlike and childish have negative connotation because they refer to immature behavior of a person, whereas youthful implies that the person is lively and energetic. So you need to use the right connotations. Again, another important aspect in bringing accuracy to your writing is what is called as collocation. Only a certain group of words go together. For example, if I say deep feeling, deep pockets, deep sleep, deep trouble, these are a set of expressions. Or look at this set of expressions. If I use the word heavy, heavy rain, heavy drinker, heavy snow, heavy traffic, I can't here say deep traffic, or I cannot say deep snow. Similarly, instead of deep feeling, I can't say heavy feeling. So, certain combinations go together. So you need to use the right collocations as well. But we usually think that vocabulary is a single word, but it is about the range of phrases that you use. Sometimes you have to use uncommon words to break that monotony and bring that variety in your writing. So remember, when it comes to vocabulary, you need to use the right collocations, you need to use the accurate words, you need to use a range of synonyms, and you have to use certain uncommon words as well. Now, talking about vocabulary, I would just give you certain academic expressions that would be helpful for you. Never try to learn words in isolation, but in phrases so that you remember. Similarly, when you write, you need to use the right phrases in your writing. For example, you are expressing your opinion in writing. So here are expressions that will help you to express those opinions. Now, every time it need not be your opinion. You usually talk about other people's opinion in your writing. For example, you could say, I believe that. Or you could say, many people believe that, when you use it in passive. I think that. When you say, I think that, it has less credibility. Rather, you could use, it is often thought that. You can say, many argue that. But it will be better to say, it is argued that. So you have a whole corpus of these academic expressions in the web. You can take them and use them in your writing. So we have discussed about how to improve your grammatical range and accuracy, and how to improve your, besides grammatical range and accuracy, we have also discussed about how to improve your vocabulary range and accuracy. Let us move on to another important aspect of writing, which is called as cohesion and coherence. This is very important in any kind of academic writing. Cohesion means to link your ideas in a logical manner for easy readability. It is a glue that holds your paragraphs. The coherence refers to the clarity and organization in ideas. and how it relates to the main ideas and how it relates to the other sentence. But don't use too many linking words like, because, so. Too much of them again may look very artificial. So you use 2 or 3 paragraphs when you write, and for your supporting ideas you usually use a lot of linking words. So there should be clear progression. Now I'll give you an example to further elucidate my point. Listen to these 2 passages. Now listen to passage 1 and listen to passage 2. Tell me which passage do you think is better. The hotel is famous. It is one of the most well-known hotels in the country. The latest international dancing competition was held at that hotel. The hotel spent a lot of money to advertise the event because the hotel wanted to gain international reputation. But many people did not attend the event. Now listen to this passage too. The latest international dancing competition was held at an hotel which is one of the well-known hotels in the region. The hotel spent a lot of money on advertising since it wanted to enhance international reputation. However, it failed to attract many people. Now, which paragraph is better? The second paragraph is better just because there are a lot of linking words. And if you see the first paragraph, it is fragmented. There are many sentences without connectors. So remember, the simple idea to bring flow to your writing, to bring a good cohesion and coherence, is to add a lot of linking words in your passage. Use the right linkers. You have an entire corpus of linkers in the Google, so you can check for those linkers there. But let me in a nutshell give you certain strategies of using linkers. Now usually when it comes to academic writing, you will use certain linkers for sequencing, you will use linkers for expressing your alternative ideas, you will use linkers for adding your point to further emphasize what you say, and you will also use linkers for expressing your contrasting ideas, and you will use linkers for cause and effect. So especially when you use for sequence, you use words like firstly, secondly, my next idea is as stated earlier, previously, eventually, when you're concluding, ultimately. You use these kind of words where they call as sequence words. When you arrange your ideas, you use these kind of link words. When you express alternatives, you use words like either of these options are good, neither, nor. You also use terms like not only but also, whether, or you use instead of this will be better. So these are called as expressing alternatives. Whenever you want to add another point, you use words like also, to, as well as, furthermore, moreover, in addition. And whenever you use contrasting ideas, well, this view is good, however, the other side of the argument is. So use words like however, nevertheless, whereas, on the other hand, and so on. So for expressing consequence, you use words like because of, since, therefore, consequently, as a result, and so on. So remember that the linkers are of 6 varieties. Use them in your sentences to bring a lot of variety. Use sequence words, use alternative words, use contrasting ideas, and use expressions for consequences and effect. Now coming to some general rules. Never try to use contractions in your writing. Words like shouldn't, wouldn't, haven't, hasn't, these things are okay in spoken English, but when it comes to academic writing, you shouldn't use this kind of expressions. So rather than saying shouldn't, you should say should not. Instead of wouldn't, you should say would not. So use the full forms of words, and do not use extra words. For example, there is, there are, etc. Write crisp sentence. For example, there are many problems that youngsters face today. Now, instead of saying that, say youngsters face many problems today. So there are is unnecessary there. Do not use fillers that we use in spoken English like really, actually. So you avoid these kind of expressions in writing, and use passive and not active constructions. And do not use weak forms of words. For example, don't say he did a thorough analysis. Say he analyzed. So these are some of the general rules you need to keep in mind. And finally, ask yourself these questions. Is my essay easy to follow? Have I given the main ideas, or are there supporting ideas? Am I digressing too much? Is it coherent? Am I bringing more lexical variety? Is there grammatical range in my sentence construction? Is there richness of vocabulary? Is my writing fluid? So are there misspelled words? Check for them again. So in a nutshell, you need to remember to bring a grammatical range and accuracy, and you need to use the right vocabulary and bring a range of vocabulary as well. And most importantly, your writing should be really cohesion, coherence and fluid. So in this module, we learn specifically about using the right grammar, improving our vocabulary, expressing our writing using cohesion and coherence. Now that brings us to the end of this module. I would like to thank you for personally joining me. I hope it was useful. I'll meet you in the next module on writing an effective statement of purpose.